Hi there, my name is Steve Gearhart, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by watching the video. This is a labor of love. I don't get paid for this. Unfortunately, if I could and make this my job, I would, but alas, it isn't. But I still make them, and you still watch them, so thank you so much for watching them. So this week, we're going to go back to the theme of this season, which is anime that was on Adult Swim and or Toonami. And this week, we're going to talk about Eureka 7. Alright, Eureka 7. It's an interesting anime. It caught my eye when it first came out. I'll get into that in a moment. The reasons why, actually quite a few different reasons why I decided to watch this anime, because it piqued a lot of interest within me. But why don't we go ahead and get through the particulars first, and then we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's go over to the ever helpful Wikipedia page, and let's see if I can do this without my glasses. So this came out for American viewing. Original run was April 2005 to April 2006, so basically a year. It's about 50 episodes plus one, and the reason why they put the plus one is because it was a series finale, which for some reason they had to tack on later on for some reason. Eureka 7 has the distinction of being the first anime for Toonami and Adult Swim to actually be relicensed after the license was expired. That is kind of unusual. Usually if you let a license expire, you just let it go, because these are usually expensive to purchase and to have. But I guess they felt that there was enough interest in Eureka 7 that they wanted to hold on to the rights of being able to show that again in the future, probably because they realized that there were like 3 light novels, a whole bunch of different manga, three actual anime movies, and I think a follow-up series, anime series. We're just talking about the original Eureka 7 today. So I think that they had, the programmers had an idea that maybe this was something worthwhile holding on to, which I'm glad they did, because that meant a lot more people could see it over the years. So the plot of this story is fairly simple. It's actually kind of, we see it before in anime, so the plot itself is not exactly new. Basically, Earth, this is 10,000 years in the future, and Earth has been run over by this sentient entity called Scub Coral, which was this coral-like being that was sentient, has its own thoughts and everything, and kind of just turned, planet Earth into a rocky wasteland. So there was this mass exodus out into the stars, and there's this planet called the Land of Canaan, which is where most of humanity wound up on, and it has also some elements of the subcoral there as well. Apparently the subcoral is following humanity through the stars, and this series talks about the latest interaction with it. So there are parts of the planet Canaan that are taken over by the subcoral, and as a result of that interaction, it causes certain waves of energy and things like that, where human beings are able to create this technology where they can get onto things that look like a surfboard or maybe a skateboard and lift, that's what they call it, onto these waves and kind of surf the air, so to speak. So we're following the main character, named 14-year-old boy named Renton, who's kind of just like aimless in life. He's 14 years old. He was like me when I was 14 with my skate magazines. He has the heroes up on the wall, people he was emulating, and just kind of wishing he'd go out there and be part of what's called the Gecko State, which is, there's these humongous flying machines, airplanes that are just like huge and can be autopiloted, and they like are their own little mini nations, some of them, and the Gecko State is one of them, and they kind of thumb their nose at authority, so to speak. So you have this, the world faction of, like the people who are in control, the authoritarian government. You have the Gecko State that's kind of, the rebels, and they have their little magazine that they publish and stuff that they air as they skate through the air or surf through the air. But then it comes into basically a battle between, who in humanity, who is Is it going to be the authoritarians, or is it going to be people like from the Gecko State? And there's a little turnabout, shocker, surprise there within that little storyline. And also how, once that is resolved, how they deal with the scub coral, which is starting to take over the new planet, and they're trying to figure out how to stop this and how to communicate with it. Now, one of the things about the Gecko State is, again, it's a group of people who surf the air above the planet, and they fight battles against the government. And yes, people die in these things. This is not a wimpy kind of mecha anime where nobody dies. People die in this one. So in fact, the episode when Renton realizes that he's killing people, he kind of has a little mental break. But anyway, so one of the things about the Gecko State is that they have a young girl who's about Renton's age, and she's very odd. And this is not a spoiler. You realize within a few episodes that she is a manifestation of the subcoral as a human being. And so she is, while her own person, she's connected to the subcoral, and the Gecko State has decided to take care of her and figured out that she is probably going to be what is needed to save the world and save humanity. They're not wrong. She's part of the whole thing. And so there's a little budding romance between Renton and this young lady. So you get the idea of the plot, all right? So the mecha is based on, so again, you have these flying airships that can stay aloft basically indefinitely. They're powered in such a way, and they use the energy within the stratosphere to keep themselves aloft. They have mecha that rides on surfboards or skateboards, kind of depending on your perception. The creator of Eureka 7 had interviewed surfers, but I'll get into that in a moment. So probably surfboards is probably the more accurate thing. And they use energy, so there's a little burst of energy that comes out from underneath, and they're able to surf the stratosphere, fight in the air, fight on the land, and that kind of a thing. The mecha itself are kind of sleek and shiny, so this isn't the grime and dirtiness of Gundam or anything like that. So this is, and they're piloted. Most of them are piloted by people in their 20s. Renton pilots one of them. And that's kind of what their deal is. Visually speaking, this is a very interesting anime. A lot of this, like I said, is in air. And so when they do the combat scenes, and remember, this is 2006, 2008, so anime looked a little bit different then, but it was kind of interesting. The animation of the fighting in the skies was pretty well done. You periodically get a sense of, I can't tell which way is up sometimes. And that's kind of important because, the battles are flipping and looping and doing all these different things. The animation, like I said, is not subpar. It is actually quite good for the times. It's actually still kind of holds up today. When you watch it, you'll definitely know that it's something that's older. You can see the older CGI, early uses of CGI in there, but it's not bad usage, and it's actually kind of interesting. And that usually has to do with showing the energy underneath the boards as they're lifting into the air, and it's kind of interesting that way. So like I said, there's a lot of plots in there going on that, the main ones is what are you going to do with the subcoral? How is humanity going to fix itself? And how's this girl fit into all of that? There are a bunch of little other things that are going on within the show. And there are there's interesting commentary about ecology. And when ecology goes wrong, whether it's man-made or in this case made by another sentient being who doesn't really understand that what they're doing is wrong. I'm putting that in quotations because it's not that they're intending ecological imbalance. It's just that it's just doing it and it doesn't realize what it's doing. So you have a lot of talk about being able to be interconnected with the world, so that you can live in the world properly and actually maintain and take care of the world. And so those are some really big issues in there. It's thinly veiled, but this is an environmental anime kind of. So there's a lot of that going on. And so it's got a message, definitely, but it doesn't get too preachy, which is what the director wanted to avoid. You do get vested in the little romance that happens between Renton and the young lady. And there's other things that go on, other little storylines that are really quite interesting. Like the alcoholic second in command and her relationship with Holland, who's the leader of the Gecko State, and his backstory, which is, oh wow, you're the brother of who again? Okay, so again, you're gonna have to watch anime. I don't want to spoil it for you. So there's a lot to unpack here, and this kind of goes beyond a little bit past the 26 or the 42 run that anime usually goes on, longer form anime. This goes on for about 50 episodes. It is. Oh yeah, there's another big thing that I should probably mention. There's a lot that has to do about belonging, family, and despair, and how do you get out of despair. And there's a moment where you just look at Renton and you just want to give him a hug through the screen. At one point, you kind of both want to smack him in the back of the head and give him a hug at the same time. But yeah, so this is a pretty well crafted anime, and I was a little bit surprised. I really wasn't expecting that much from it. So how did I start watching this anime if I wasn't expecting that much from it? A descriptor of this anime would be an ecological, environmental, air surfing mecha anime. That would be the short description of it. So you got a lot of different things going on in there, and at first it feels like it doesn't work. That's when you put all those words together, just like that kind of sounds stupid. And but once you start watching, you're just like you get vested into it and you get interested. So how I got into this was a couple different reasons. I was just curious to see how well that would work, and if it could work. And at the time that it first came on, it reminded me of myself, not Renton, but just the overall vibe of myself when I was 14, 15 years old. And even though I live in Central Maryland, there's no real surf culture, obviously, in Central Maryland. A little bit out towards the bay and out on the ocean. But really, it's not like California where it's surfer paradise, or Hawaii where it's also surfer paradise. So there wasn't really that much of a surfer thing going on, but there was a skater thing going on. And at that time, for a couple of years, I was really invested in the skater culture. And I really enjoyed it. I had been already at that time starting to listen to punk music, and that kind of transferred me into skating. And for those who are skaters, past, present, and possibly future, you'll know what I mean when I say my rig was basically a Dogtown deck, Indy trucks, and Alva 9 rocks. So there you go. So I had a nice board. The problem was that I wasn't that good at it, so that's why I only lasted a couple of years. But if I had been good at it, I think that's something I probably would have taken on for a long period of my life. But I really did enjoy the culture, the ideas of it, and some of the thoughts behind it, as complex as they can be for a 14 and 15-year-old boy. So this anime, when it showed up, it kind of harkened those memories. And I was just kind of like, okay, it's not skating, it's kind of surfing, but let's take a look at it. And so that's those are the kind of the big reasons why I got into watching this anime and enjoying it. Found out later that the director, Tomoki Kyoda, he had actually interviewed surfers to kind of get a perspective on how they looked at things, why they did the things that they did, and stuff like that. And he found that they were very in touch with nature, that they were their awareness of nature and how it impacted them was greater than the average person. And he really wanted those themes to be in this anime. And at first, Bandai was not really hep on this, and they really kind of pushed back on it and got into a rift. So the anime almost wasn't made, but Tomoki and his crew won out in the end, and they made what they made, which is Eureka 7. So, should you watch this anime? I think you should. Like I said, it has the mecha elements, obviously, in a kind of a different, unique fashion that they were able to make work. It works. After you understand what the mechanics of it, you're like, okay, and you just accept it and you move on, and the battles become enjoyable in terms of watching. Storylines are good, fairly well written. I mean, there are better written anime out there, but this is not bad, and you do get invested in a lot of the characters. Again, the animation is pretty top notch for the time, and still parts of it still holds up pretty well today. And but it's a commitment. It's 50 episodes. It's a commitment. I think you can find it on Crunchyroll or High Dive. I forget which one, or both maybe. Anyway, so yeah, give it a go. Let me know what you think down below. Don't troll, but just let me know what you thought of it. Now, I have not gone into the other parts of the franchise as of yet, just simply because I think I will enjoy it for what it is, and just leave it at that. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, we got a good thing going here. Let's not wreck it with something else that may not be as good as the original start of the franchise. So yeah, give it a go. Commit to it, and let me know what you think down below. All right, so that's going to be it for this week. Give Eureka 7 a try, and the ecological combat windsurfing mecha anime. Let me know how that works for you. It worked pretty well for me. I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. So let me know what you thought about it. And next week, we'll have another review for you coming up here shortly. And the next convention I am going to will be an actual anime convention. I believe it is Anime USA. I may have some panels going on there. If I do, they haven't gotten back to me yet to let me know which ones they want. And as soon as I know, I'll let you know. But I did make an AMV. Yes, an anime music video. I made an AMV for Anime USA. My AMVs almost never get into the contest, so I'm usually in overflow. But that's okay, because I like making these things, and I think they're fun to do one. And I haven't done one in such a long time, so I was really happy. It's a Cowboy Bebop AMV, and it's called Faye Suffers the Cowboy Bebop Curse. So there you go. So if you happen to be Anime USA, there's going to be at least that, possibly some panels. I will let you guys know. And in the meantime, between now and next week, be healthy, stay good, because I would like to see you guys out in the world, because I love you guys, and I would like to very much see you out in the wild and have a conversation with you. So if you ever see me out there at a convention or just out on the street, please come up to me and say hello. I would love to have a conversation with you. All right, guys, love you. Take it easy. And as always, watch more anime.